speaking of Matthew Stafford, best quarterback Cooper Kupp has had at this level. In 2018, it was Jared Goff. Of course, injured, did not play in the Super Bowl. They really missed Cooper Kupp. But they thought Jared Goff was a problem, and it was going to keep them from winning a Super Bowl. So they go out, they trade him for Matthew Stafford, who has clearly shown that he was potentially a missing piece for this team. How about the journey for Stafford? Because I think maybe a year or two ago, some thought he might be just about done. All the losing he was doing in Detroit and just no light at the end of the tunnel, really.
I think he really epitomizes the anti-star. He is not looking for any headlines. Matter of fact, the biggest headline that he might have had in his whole entire career was asking for a trade when the Lions were not going to stick with Darrell Bevell, who was the interim head coach after Matt Patricia left. And he was like, you know what, I'm not trying to have my fourth head coach, in Dan Campbell. And then he asked for the trade and was able to get out. But when you really contextualize the amount of losing that he suffered, 93 losses in 12 years, that is the second most in that span since he entered the league in 2009. We're talking about the type of losing that probably helped contribute to Barry Sanders and Calvin Johnson retiring at 30, okay? So he has gone through a lot. But when you look at what he's been able to accomplish with the Rams, the question is now, has he changed the narrative? Has he done enough to change the narrative? With 41 touchdowns, second to Brady, that's a number that you can't ignore, but also the 17 interceptions. So part of that, Pete, makes me still feel like when he was going through some of the adversity through the season, some of the ghosts of the losing, I still feel like he was dealing with, trying to figure it out, especially during that 3-game losing streak. But since the postseason has started, completing 72% of his passes, 8 touchdowns with the rushing, 1 interception, 2 rushing, 6 passing, and then a passer rating of 115. You cannot ignore those numbers. The question is, does he need the win to seal his legacy, do you think, today?
Well, I think he needs to win to seal his legacy. I do not think it seals him being in the Hall of Fame like
Really?
some of our colleagues think.
Is that you?
No, that's Will
No, that's
Brinson.
Will
There's just
Brinson.
Really?
There's just so many other quarterbacks that are going to get in before he does. And in this era, was he ever one of the top 5 quarterbacks in the league? And that's a legitimate question. Was he a top 5 quarterback in the league this year? He threw 17 picks. He tied for the league lead with a rookie, Trevor Lawrence. And that's not a good thing. Here's my concern with Matt Stafford. I love Matt Stafford. I love gunslinger quarterbacks. He's a gunslinger. My concern with him today is he's not been great against zone coverage. 14 of his 17 interceptions have come against zone coverage this year. And what do the Bengals do? Their whole identity on defense is to show different looks, play a lot of zone coverage, and so we'll see how that plays out. If they can get some pressure against him, that could lead to some turnovers on the back end.
Stafford still has not thrown a fourth-quarter interception this season. Now, he should have 2 weeks ago, last game against the 49ers, but goose egg, 0 picks in the fourth for Stafford.
Do you want a sports network that delivers everything that matters about the game? The highlights, the picks, the instant analysis, no yelling, no fake debates, no politics. Hit the subscribe button and never miss a moment.